Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire.
Live from the virtual Circuit of the Americas, we welcome race fans one and all back to the High Tide Racing League MF Racing Designs Cup Series, where we get set to duke it out in Austin, Texas for round number 12. Welcome to Green Flag TV. My name is Ola Wemple alongside Austin Edstrom, and together we are bringing you all of the coverage here tonight from the longest road course race that we'll have all season long. Austin, it is 5.4 kilometers, this behemoth of a track, and 20 turns make up this facility that is among one of the newest FIA Grade 1 circuits in the world. Of course, it was first opened for business back in 2012, designed solely to host the FIA Formula One World Champion. Well, about 11 years later, still running strong in Austin.
Yeah, this track takes an absolute eternity to get around. We're talking over 2-minute lap times, 2-minute 15 in qualifying. So it takes a long time to get around this place. We're going to see a lot of beating and banging on the first lap, I imagine. I think track position right off the bat is going to be super, super key. Just getting in front of a couple other guys right off the bat. It's going to be tough to pass, so I feel like getting it right off the beginning is going to be important just to make sure you stay kind of within touch of the race leader, because it is going to get spread out at some point.
It's going to get spread out, I reckon, almost fairly early with that assist that she got after that very sharp turn number 1. You'll look at the championship standings entering tonight's race, and it looks a little something like this. Ty Marasco has pulled clear in the points lead. That is supposed to be 2,050 points, or 2,042 points for Ty Marasco. So a small error on our end on that deal, but you still get a good idea of how the standings shake up, right? I mean, you've got Marasco, definitely one of the drivers looking to contend for a good spot, but it's all going to be focusing on how the bottom 4 are going to be looking, right? Foster, Britt, Gibson, McGill. Austin McGill did not turn up for racing last week, and that's what resulted in him being on the back foot. And I'm willing to reckon here he effectively has to now win a race if he wants to get himself into the round of 12.
Yeah, and this is about as good of a place for him as possible. He's a good road course racer. He had a lot of speed back at the Indianapolis road course, sat on the pole. Unfortunately, just spun it out right on the first lap there from the pole, leading the race. I was able to get it going, though, and was able to have a good top 3 day until he had to pit really, really late. So I know he's got good, probably top 3 pace here tonight. Didn't actually qualify that good. I think he's back in P4 right now, maybe drop back to P5, but I think McGill could win his way in here tonight.
Could be one of those drivers that manages to win his way in. For now, though, you've got drivers just looking to finish up their qualifying efforts, and with nobody currently on the racetrack, we're going to take a step back. We'll be with your starting grid in just a few moments. You're watching the HTRL MF Racing Designs Cup Series on Green Flag TV. Qualifying is effectively wrapped up from the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. We get set to kick things off for race number 12. It's a bit of a smaller grid. Only 14 cars will be lining up for us here today. But it's time to see which one of those 14 cars will find themselves in victory lane at the end of the night. Started on pole position, you've got the likes of Sean Britt, with Benjamin Lace beside him on the front row. Brian Dees and Austin McGill bring up row 2. Ricky Hart Jr., Kevin Foster on row 3. Michael Thorpe Jr. and Tony Hillbrands will bring out row 4 to lock out the top half of the field, Austin.
Yep, 9th place will be David Leakey, followed by Connor Gibson in 10th, Jason Greenwell in 11th, and Dalton Kilrow in P12. Starting 13th is going to be Paul Wilson, and Zachary Wareham is going to round out our 14-car field.
I do believe that Zachary Wareham is, in fact, the only driver that is in the grid today that is not contending for a championship. As you see this field currently lined on up, and they're sitting just a little ways on that back stretch there. That sits just behind turn 12, coming into the third and final sector of the racetrack, where it is definitely the slowest ride. A lot of first and second gear corners from turns 12, really all the way around for 15. Then you, of course, have the multi-apex corner 16 through 18. Very reminiscent of the Istanbul circuit's turn 8. Back when Herman Tilke designed that circuit, of course, he had a very heavy-handed design of the Circuit of the Americas as well. And, of course, 19 and 20, a couple of fairly nondescript corners to round out the lap. But turns 1 and 12, those will be the best passing opportunities. Turn 1, up a giant incline from the start-finish stretch in towards that opening corner. That could be where we see a few drivers coming together. And then, of course, turn 12, right off of this long straightaway, you see a lot of elevation change on this circuit. They moved the very earth beneath this track to give it as much elevation change as it has, and you can really tell with how much these cars have to poke up over the rises.
Yeah, and I feel like going down into turn 12 can be such a sketchy braking zone. You know, you almost just about fall asleep at the wheel down that super long straightaway in between 11 and 12. And if you're in a battle with somebody, maybe you're just looking in your mirror at the wrong time after the long straightaway, overshoot your braking point a little bit and give the guy behind a chance to get to your inside. I feel like that's probably the best overtaking opportunity on the racetrack. Also, if you can get to the inside on that kind of quadruple right that we're about to come up on, if you get to the inside of that, you can really take that position pretty easily as well. So you might see some dives into that section there towards the back end of the racetrack.
Sean Britt will be leading the way in that Apex Sim Racing number 55 car. Zachary Wareham, the lone driver that did not take it to the grid. So Wareham will be having to start this one from the pits, as Britt will take us around through this third and final sector. 30 laps will be the distance for us here. It's a long way to go. 30 laps doesn't sound like a lot on paper, but when you take into factor that your lap in this place is over 2 minutes a lap, it can add up fairly quickly.
Yeah, it'll be a little over an hour. We don't have cautions here tonight, so you know, we're starting the race at 9:18 Eastern time. It'll probably end around 10:30 if I had to bet. You know, we got another 15 seconds added on to every lap, so we're gonna have a little bit of a long race here tonight.
Going to be a very long race indeed, and one that will test these drivers' concentrations in the long run with no cautions to break up the running. As the pace car will pull in this time by. We're happy that you're once again joining us here for playoff action on Green Flag TV. Sean Britt will take us in towards the restart zone. And with that, we will get set to kick this race off. We are underway in Austin, Texas, here at the Circuit of the Americas as they cross the starting grid.
Benjamin Lacey got a pretty good start here on the outside, going down to turn 1, able to dive deep on the outside of Sean Britt for the race lead, but a little bit too deep. He's going to be way off the racetrack. Benjamin Lacey goes for a spin. Last week's race winner off in turn 1, already at the back of the field, way back in last place. Benjamin Lacey, tough break in turn 1, but Sean Britt is skating away from the field.
Very early launch from Britt to get away from these guys. They're single file as he dives into turn 2 and beyond. Through the S's for the first time tonight. Watch those yellow sausage curbs on the inside. Those anti-cut curbs have caught many a driver out, and they don't care what car you're in. Stock cars, open wheels, prototypes, GTs, touring cars, club cars, and more. If you hit those, you're spinning around. They don't care how many grip packs you have on that machine.
Yeah, we've got a pass at the back of the pack. Kilrow having some issues at the back, allowing Lacey to pick up one of those lost positions. Thorpe looking to the, oh man, is that Kevin Foster off to the inside of the racetrack, pounding the inside guardrail. Can't tell if it was, yeah, it was Foster in the 8 machine, going down to turn 11 now at the back of the pack. Tough break for Foster. That's going to be some heavy damage on the left front.
As Sean Britt leads the way down the backstretch and in towards turn 12. Ricky Hart Jr. and Brian Dees side by side. Hart on the inside. Dees on the outside as we dive into turn number 12 for the first time tonight. And Brian Dees swings that one around for the top side of the racetrack. And now Benjamin Lacey lunging in deep. Jason Greenwell will get into the mix as well as he and Connor Gibson both went way off the track.
Our race leader way off. He got so loose going into the left-hand section here. Austin McGill able to get by. I'm sorry to interrupt, but our leader was just fishtailing for about 2 corners.
We take a look as he was trying to get that hammer down and broke way out wide. That was approaching turn 14, allows Austin McGill through into the race lead. Remember, we talked about him having to have a good race tonight if he wants to get himself up into the round of 12. Meanwhile, Benjamin Lacey round the outside of Connor Gibson at turn 16 through 18. Dives to the brakes for 19, swinging out wide. And now on to the binders for that final corner. Austin McGill will lead lap number 1 to green. David Leakey drives off the track on the right-hand side, but is able to get himself sorted. So we are fairly composed for the first lap or so as we'll send it up the hill and back into turn 1.
Austin McGill way deep into turn 1, gives up the lead to Sean Britt, but they're side by side going into 2, and McGill's able to get back in front of him, and Thorpe Jr. follows him through. Man, every time it seems like you're talking to leaders, just somebody messes up. The leader just goes off the racetrack and makes a mistake. McGill just about gave it up to Sean Britt there. Down to turn 1, heavy lockup on the left front. Surprised Britt wasn't able to get a better run out of that, but he got sideways out of turn 1, or else he might have had it.
Sure did, just stomped on the pedal a bit too aggressively, and that's what allowed Thorpe through into the number 2 spot. But now Britt side by side with Thorpe for the second spot, and he's going to take it the long way around the left-hand kink at turn 9, down the hill for 10 towards 11. This will be hard on the brakes once again. Thorpe, can he make that look? Brian Dees is just tucked behind. He wants to have a peek down to the inside, but they can't make anything happen, so we'll funnel it out, and now Thorpe breaks the back end out as we start to rock it down the back straightaway and in towards turn 12. So it's all kicking off, it would seem, here tonight from the Circuit of the Americas as this field working a battle up and down. Thorpe to the inside of Sean Britt as he's going to try to make this dive into 12. He's going to push that 55 car out wide, leaving just enough room to make it happen. And they're still going to remain 2 abreast through turn 13.
Yeah, McGill is loving seeing these guys side by side, especially through the slower section of the racetrack like we're in right now, through 14, through 15, about to go through the triple right of 16, 17, 18. This is what McGill likes to see in the mirror. Sean Britt goes really wide. Brian Dees able to get to his outside before the triple right. Not going to be able to do anything from way out there. Just going to try to undercut him on the way out, but it looks like he's a little bit too far out to do it. Sean Britt's going to hold on to the P3 spot, but McGill was able to build just over a second lead there on Thorpe Jr., but honestly, that's not as big as I would have thought. I felt like they should have taken a little bit more time away from each other, so McGill might be kicking himself a little bit. He probably should have had a little bit bigger gap as we see Kilroy go off the racetrack.
Dalton Kilroy, one of the drivers we weren't sure would be able to make a full attendance today. There was Jason Greenwell going around. Want to get a look, if I can, way back at what happened on the initial lap. This was coming up the hill. This was when Brian Dees got, he sent it around the outside, and then Benjamin Lacey, you see, spun it around, and the number 7 car just locked the rears and went in way deep. Then Connor Gibson and Jason Greenwell both had this hefty move, and this was diving on the brakes in towards, ran to the back of Tony Hilbrand's there, and then Greenwell, you see, locked up, and they both went off the track. That's why we saw both of them drop his own positions on the opening lap as well. Dalton Kilroy into pit road, and that's not terribly a surprise. He has been feeling under the weather, so he made it pretty clear he was only in it for a start and park today, so that number 41 car is going to be out of the race early.
It's tough from Kilroy. I didn't know about that. Tough to be ill, especially as the playoffs are going on, but you got to do what you got to do. Still getting some points here just being here tonight, but back to the race. McGill has built up that lead just a little bit more because Sean Britt got by Thorpe Jr. again. So these guys just don't stop battling for P2, allowing McGill to pull away a little bit. You got to think if one of them could just get some clean air and not get hounded for a couple of corners, maybe they'll have a chance to bridge that gap to Austin McGill, but they just keep fighting and drag each other back.
Oh boy, Thorpe in way too deep into turn 12, and he will not slow that down. Was not even close to making that corner. Sean recognized that. He didn't go across the cover. He kept it out of the way. Let Thorpe overshoot. Goes for the over-under. That also slows Sean Britt down, though, right, because it compromises his own line, and now Thorpe going to compromise himself further as he will spin it off down at turn 14. and he'll have to reverse that one back out onto the rest of the racetrack. So that's a huge dent in Thorpe's chances on going for a race win here in that number 34 Amsoil Chevrolet Camaro.
Well, I'll give it to Thorpe. He was going for it, man. I mean, goodness gracious, he was driving the heck out of that thing, trying to get the second place position back, trying to get up there to challenge Austin McGill for the lead, but you can see just a little bit oversteer coming out of the corner. Could not hang on to it. That's going to be Thorpe Jr. down the running order, down to P7. Not too far back, but he lost 15 seconds on the race lead. That's a tough break in the early going.
Did a good job, though, on slowing that car down to keep it out of the soft wall there, so I'll give him props for that one. He managed to keep it out without any damage, only some lost time. Meanwhile, Austin McGill, once again being put under fire by Sean Britt.
He missed turn one so bad. It just let him get right back up to his back bumper here going through the S's. McGill, whoever's in the race lead just makes mistake after mistake.
That seems to be the case for a lot of drivers so far. It seems to be nobody wants to really lead this race. Thorpe backwards out of turn number one. There's been a few incidents. It looks like Brian D's potentially having an off as well, but we'll keep tabs on this battle for the lead. We'll get back to all of that in a moment. We'll have time later as McGill trying to fend off Britt. Britt trying to take the long way around turn 9 through the kink of 10 and down to turn 11. You'll notice all the names bright/darkish blue on the timing tower. Now, typically, that is supposed to represent playoff drivers, so you can distinguish who's a playoff driver and who's not. It's a bit redundant, though, in the whole field is playoff drivers.
Yeah, not much you can do about that, but hey, all the playoff guys showing up. They want to win this championship. They've been invested all season long. They're here to show that they deserve to win the championship. McGill probably should have been in victory lane once or twice. He's had some speed this year. Was not able to make the first playoff race, but coming in tonight, leading the race, fending off Sean Britt so far. Doing a valiant job here in P1, but Sean Britt's not too far behind as we watch the replay. Brian D is going up the hill into turn 1. Oh, the back end just steps out on him a little bit. Honestly, good save just to lock it down a little bit. He just kind of took the bad with that. It just didn't make it worse than it could have been, right? That could have been way, way worse for him as we go back to Thorpe Jr. coming over the crest as well. Probably where he spun out, coming out of one right here. Yep, curb. Just did that sausage and just came right around. Could not do anything. So back-to-back mistakes from the 34.
What did I tell you right on lap 1? Watch those curbs. They're a lot bigger than you think. I mean, they don't look that bad, right, for the TV angles. But I tell you what, you go out to one of those and you stand right next to them, it's going to be about up to your ankle. Those are giant curbs, and they are not to be trifled with at all as Sean Britt again kicks out the back end. And we've had David Leakey, looks like, over a slide out of turn 13, and into the turn 14 complex. He's got Kevin Foster right behind. And just loops the back end. Too much momentum on the entry. And, almost nailed Foster when he was trying to get back going.
Yeah, it was a close one. I feel like those curbs are a little bit worse in the next gen than the other Cup cars, too. It just seems like whenever the next gen gets unsettled, there's no saving it. If that back end bounces one time, it's around. You can't do anything about it. So I feel like it's a lot worse in the next gen, and you can really feel it here. We saw it with Thorpe Jr. Just barely tabbed that thing. Didn't completely clobber that curb. He got a good bit of it, but not enough to where you would think, yeah, that's going to rip me around easily. But this next gen car, man, that rear end gets lifted off the ground and it is just gone.
David Leakey trying to keep Connor Gibson behind, separated by about a second right now. This is the battle for 8th currently on screen. And then, of course, Connor Gibson having to worry about Paul Wilson, who's been steadily running him down as well. So we could have a three-way fight for the 8th spot here in just a moment. Don't look now, but Jason Greenwell still in the mix as well. He's trying to make some momentum up from behind this grouping 2. And this, I say that, Greenwell being over, Paul Wilson getting around Jason Greenwell as we've had so Paul Wilson, excuse me, he went way off the track and nearly went into the wall. I'm willing to reckon he got a bit loose.
Yeah, the field's starting to spread out a little bit, but don't tell the leaders that. They're stuck in a hard race here, and this is such a big mental game, especially around a long racetrack like Circuit of the Americas. You just have to mind your P's and Q's. You got to get every single corner perfect. Sean Britt a little wiggly there, coming out of, I believe that was 12. Yep, going down into 13, 14 here. Or sorry, that's the triple right of 16, 17, and 18. See, so many corners is tough at COTA, but the race for the lead is just staying hot. Every little mistake just is compounded onto each other. It matters so much for the two race leaders right there. That mistake from Sean Britt drops him from, really kind of right in that fighting range where if McGill were to make a mistake, Britt would have taken the lead, but unfortunately that one just kind of forced him out of it, back to about a second gap now.
Paul Wilson running off the track at turn 15. He'll get back to the inside of Thorpe, though, and will look to try to keep that 34 Camaro in behind. Thorpe trying to hang this one the long way around the 16 through 18 complex. Thorpe will do just that. Dives on the blinders into turn 19. And Paul Wilson not going to fight him out, fight too much with the number 34 car there. So, Sam Michael Thorpe Jr. now up into the 11th position as, again, the leaders start to get ever closer to one another. Here's how Thorpe made the initial overtake on Paul Wilson. Just sent it in turn 15, and Wilson tried to hang it around the outside, but Thorpe just had the better momentum in that number 34.
Yeah, the 34 really just took the line. It was kind of his to have there at the apex of the corner and drifted out and took it. Paul Wilson just really couldn't do anything about it, but here we got McGill still leading Britt. Down to turn 1, McGill had made that mistake. If Britt hadn't made his mistake earlier in the lap, he would have been right there to pounce, but McGill completely missed turn 1. Britt was able to get to his inside, but was not able to clear the 99, and then the 99 just kind of pulled away a little bit, going over the S's. So McGill, they're not bulletproof right now. They're both making mistakes up here at the front, even though we got the close race, and it could just come down to a mistake at the end of this thing.
0.6 of a second separate them as they thunder down the back straightaway and into turn 12 at the end of what is the longest straight on the racetrack. I'm thinking Sean Britt is more confident. Oh, hello, as Brian B's way off after locking up in the background. But again, I have a feeling like Austin McGill is a lot more confident getting on the throttle than Sean Britt is. Britt makes all of his time up mid-corner and down on the brakes. That is why we're able to see him run down so much in this final sector where you're on the brakes a lot and you're having a lot of mid-corner speed. But at the higher speed points of the racetrack where you have to really be able to learn how to get on the throttle at a good point, that's where McGill's able to just draw away from him.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that's because McGill's not too confident on the brakes. He's missed turn 1 a couple times, and it's kind of got him on the back foot to where he's not braking as deep into the corners. And Sean Britt's just able to hound him through the braking zone and get up to his back bumper there through the final corner, turn 20. And again, we're going up into turn 1 right here. Austin McGill has missed this thing just about every other time that we've been up the racetrack. So coming down to take lap number 8 right here. Austin McGill, Sean Britt going down to turn 1. This is my trouble spot for McGill. It seems to be where he has the chink in the armor. A little tire lock up that time. Not too bad, but you can still see that there's just something going on with the 99 up towards turn 1. Really allows Sean Britt to keep the fight going.
Well, turn 1 is an easy corner to overshoot for a few reasons. For one, you're going up a hill, right? And that makes it, it's a bit of a blind corner. So you can sometimes lose sight of actually where the apex is, and that in turn means you'll lose sight of where your braking point is. The other thing, though, that makes it a big challenge is you're coming off of a huge series of very slow to medium speed corners and then onto a long blasting straight, which that in turn makes it very difficult because it can be a deceptive braking zone. And it's one that's caught out many drivers in the past. The only reason why we don't see more drivers overshooting turn 1 is because it's on an uphill slope. Otherwise, I think we don't see as many drivers running wide there as we do down at turn 12.
I'm just, I guess I'm surprised that 1 isn't a little bit more of a trouble spot. But like I said, it is for our race leader. But Benjamin Lacey down into turn 11 there, a little bit wide, allows, Ricky Hart Jr. I always get those big red machines mixed up a little bit. But Benjamin Lacey looked to the inside, got in a little deep there on the apex, drifted out wide, and allowed Ricky Hart Jr. to take the spot back. Lacey's been doing a good job recovering from that lap 1 incident as he actually passes Ricky Hart here for the P4 position. And he does the exact same thing. Second verse, same as the first. 2 corners in a row, but Lacey actually still able to stick it up the inside, takes the position. Or does he? Because Ricky Hart Jr. is on the inside again, going down into turn number 15. These guys both fighting hard for that P4 position.
That reminds me of that old internet historian video where at the end of a long story, it's like, and that was the end of things. Or was it? Because then this happened, and then that was the end. Or was it? Because then that was the end of things. It's just this whole thing, right? And it's something that can very much happen in that final sector. That's actually kind of why very controversial opinion. That's why I actually love that final sector of the racetrack, because it allows for all of these switchback battles to commence over and over. Cup cars, touring cars. If it's a car that gets switched back, you're going to be able to pull off a battle like that through that section flawlessly every single lap. You can't do that through the first sector, which, while yes, it is very flowing.
Sean Britt's around. Sean Britt's around over the crest of turn 1. He was hounding our race leader of Austin McGill, and he just looped it coming out of the exit at turn number 1 on the top of the crest.
So Sean Britt throwing away the battle for the lead. That will give Austin McGill some much-needed breathing room. This was one corner earlier, so we'll look back at this one. And has he clipped that dreaded anti-cut curve down to the inside of the racetrack? He did not. Just too aggressive on the throttle. That's been the bane of his existence all evening long. And it just bit him again. And he was not the only one. Connor Gibson, this was actually about half a lap ago, looking like he's had a spin down at a turn. Oh, wow, way deep on the brakes. And that's what sent the 69 car way in hot to turn 12.
Honestly, good job not taking out Leaky. I mean, he definitely could have just pile driven down to turn 12 there, but did a really good job getting off to the AstroTurf and the grass on the outside, slowing that thing down, not making that worse, because that could have been massive. That's everybody's playoff drivers in here, right? So nobody really wants to mess with each other. Nobody wants to give each other any flack. You know, if you make that mistake, you just pile drive somebody, it's going to be a big issue. He has another issue going down into turn 1.
It's that uphill section, right? And that's part of why it is such a big problem. Remember, blind corner, because the track flattens out, sort of, not fully, but it does flatten out a good bit at the elevation change right at the top where you're turning for that apex. And the reason why you're so loose getting off is because you're going over the ridge line and into a very steep downhill incline. It's such a difficult racetrack, and it's one that makes this one of the most challenging facilities, at least at this level of FIA scrutiny, down into that you can find out here in the States. I think one of the few tracks that could possibly rival it in difficulty challenge would be the Virginia International Raceway, a track that's commonly referred to as America's version of the Nürburgring.
Whenever you come over those crests like that, and you get over them and you start going downhill, it becomes such an Greenwell goes around, but it becomes such an issue because you get to the top of that crest and it feels like all the weight is gone all of a sudden in the car for just a split second. All the grip is completely gone, the downforce gone, and that back end is just so light for a split second, and it's just that little bit of time that if you don't correct it, if you don't have it, you know, the car pointed straight coming off just right, it's just not going to turn out well for you. You're going to spin right around, as we see Thorpe Jr. Trying to make a move here on Kevin Foster for P7 to the inside, down the front straightaway, side by side, all the way down.
And you're going to see here, right, working up the hill as he tries to make that move. You can't see an apex there. Where is your apex? You have to point and shoot. You run a lot of this track through field alone, and right there, we just saw it again. The second he gets over that crest and starts running down the hill, the back end kicks out when you're on the throttle. It happens time after time again, and it will continue to happen time after time after time again. Connor Gibson went in deep into turn 1. That's why he has lost so many positions all of a sudden, as he is now stuck right behind Jason Greenwell, as Hart continuing to run down Benjamin Lacey. Austin McGill now has an 8.2 second lead. You've got two battles. You've got the battle for 7th and then the battle for 11th right now.
And I feel like our battle for second's going to heat up. I feel like Lacey's really quick. I feel like Britt's faster than Dees. I feel like we're going to end up having a three-way battle for second here before too long. They're just a little bit split apart. So I think that that's kind of where we need to be watching. I think that's going to get heated up. And also, I've been watching McGill, and he's still getting loose around a lot of these corners, making little mistakes. I wouldn't be surprised if he looped this thing and brought everybody back into the race, you know, making a little mistake. So I don't think that this one's over yet. I've just been seeing I'm just not confident in McGill right now. He just looks a little bit squirrely out front.
As you say that, Austin McGill running a bit wide through turn 19. The ever dangerous thing to do. That's another thing that's very important to point out. There is a lot of runoff area at these racetracks. But at corners like turn 19, if you run out too wide, iRacing will still give you a cut track slowdown penalty because you're able to gain an advantage by running super wide. They do the same thing at Spa, Le Mans, and more. So that's one other thing to keep an eye out for, because it only takes one of those off tracks and you're hooped, because those off tracks, they're usually minimum 3 seconds at a time.
Yeah, you can get yourself in trouble real quick getting 2 of those. You know, I mean, McGill's got a little bit of a lead right now, so 1 wouldn't be too big, but it would put him in the clutches of everybody else, right, if he just kept making those mistakes. So if I'm McGill, man, you just got to mind your P's and Q's right here. You got an 8-second lead. Still a long ways to go, right? You know, he's still got 40-plus minutes of racing to go, so it's not over yet. But still, you got to be nursing that lead at this point. Still, you don't need to overpush it. We've seen him go too wide into turn 1. Even the last time he locked up a little bit. So if I were him going into turn 1 every lap, I would back it down another 20 feet before I've been doing it every time anyway. and just letting it go. If I lose an extra 1/10 of a second every lap by that, oh well, I'll beat him in the rest of the racetrack, because that seems to be his main problem spot.
Sean Britt continuing to close in on Brian Dees in this battle for the number 2 spot, and he takes a very tight exit there, but that's because Dees went in too hot, and all of a sudden the gap's from a second down to a 10th, and now Britt trying to pull this one around the long way into turn 12, as he's going to go for that lunge on the binders.
Ooh.
Can he hang on? I think he will. I think he's got that spot handled.
That felt deep at first, but he was able to hold on to it, able to get that thing woed up. But man, again, it's just coming out of the corner. You saw him get a little squirrely. Oh, Dees throws it back to the inside, coming into turn 13, able to get his nose in there. But Sean Britt able to get the run out, coming down into 14 and 15 now. The left-hander, Dees just concedes the position it looks like for now. Sean Britt up to P2.
When we get to pit stop strategies, and I think it's about applicable that we could talk about that at this point. We're, what, a third of the way into a 30-lap race at this point in time. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of these drivers, instead of pitting the round halfway, just running the tanks out dry. Tires in these next-gen cars on, I keep saying next-gen, they're really Gen 7 cars at this point in time. They've been out for, what, 2-3 years now? I think we could just call them Gen 7 at this point. But anyways, they don't have a big impact on road courses. And in fact, the race winner at Indianapolis didn't take tires. In the Speed Cup Series we had that we ran on Thursday, where their championship racked up a few weeks ago. The last 3 road course races of the season, again, the winner never took tires. The LTAC All-Street Media Cup Series on Friday nights, when they went to the Charlotte Roval, the winner didn't take tires. And in fact, just to put it to boot, in one of the Speed Cup Series races, not only did the guy run 40 laps around the Glen on the same set of tires, he set the fastest lap of the race on the final lap on 40-lap old tires. They don't mean anything at a track like this, and they don't wear at all, so it's honestly more worth it for these guys to not take any tires as opposed to wasting, 5-10 seconds in the pits taking a full set.
Yeah, there's actually 2 reasons why they don't want to take them. One, kind of what you were mentioning, you waste time in the pit box. Waste probably tonight you'll probably be wasting about 7 seconds.
Yeah,
Not only that, but you're going to come out of pit road and those tires are going to be cold, and you're going to have to heat them back up. The ones you got on the tire or on the car beforehand are already at the optimal running temperature, unless you just absolutely killed them. But if you put on new tires, they're cold. And going around the S's at COTA, you are not turning through there one bit. You are losing chunks and chunks of time.
That was the other thing I was going to mention as well, right? It's not like most road cars where you can, you run a lap and then you're good to go on tires. It takes 2-3 laps to get tires up to temps in these cars. It's not worth the effort, because all that time, you're still losing time before you're able to actually use the tires again. Why bother? It's worth it to lose an extra few percentages on tire wear if it's going to help you more in the long run. And I think the only drivers we're going to be seeing pitting are the ones that have been locking up a lot in these corners, and the ones that we've seen spinning out a lot so far in this race. But if you've been running the clean race, there's no reason for you to do that.
Yeah, if you're in the race for the win, there's no way you're coming and taking tires. No way. You're getting a splash of gas and you're getting back on your way. But I got to point out, Sean Britt, he had made that pass on Dees for second. They were 10 seconds behind the race leader. And Sean Britt is 8.2 behind now, and it's only been 2 more laps. So Sean Britt's consistently running faster than our leader of Austin McGill right now. That might be something to watch out for, and the pit strategy we were talking about could come into play between these 2.
It's all about that throttle point, right? That's where he was losing all that time on the exit of these corners, is the fact that McGill a little bit more confident on the throttle than Sean Britt's been, especially with how many times we've seen Britt kicking the back end out and just scrubbing off all the momentum of that Apex Sim Racing Camaro. So the possibility is definitely there for Sean Britt to catch him, but as always, catching is one thing, passing very much another, and we'll be able to see that in full force when this battle begins to kick off later on in this race. I'm thinking maybe around, we'll have to wait until I think almost lap 20 before we see them really start to fight again.
Yeah, I think that's probably a safe bet. You never know with the way the pit strategy falls. Somebody could come out behind a slower car and get held up a little bit, could bring the fight back together, but got a hard fight right now between Brian Dees, Benjamin Lacey. Benjamin Lacey's still making up from that lap 1 error. He started on the outside pole, almost had the race lead going into 1 earlier in the race. Spun himself out coming out of turn 1, but now he's fighting back for that podium position. Last week's winner, unfortunate, could not get it done in turn 11, but it's a long drive down to turn 12. He's in the slipstream of Brian Dees in front. Does he duck out later? Does he just sit behind the 17 for now? Does he just hold on to that P4 spot? Looks like he's going to dive in late, going down into turn 12. Benjamin Lacey to the inside of Brian Dees, trying to make it work on the inside. Still side by side, a little bit of door contact towards the middle of the corner. Brian Dees still holds that inside line going into 13, 14.
Don't forget the switch back here, because while Brian Dees has the inside now, that's going to switch back the way of Benjamin Lacey here, and Lacey going to try to go for it down into turns 15, and he's going to muscle Brian Dees out wide, and that will send Benjamin Lacey back onto the podium positions.
Yeah, he just took that position. I mean, he got his car in the right position, and he just drove Brian Dees out to the outside of the racetrack and took it from him. So, good job from Benjamin Lacey there, driving back into the P3 position, on the podium after that lap 1 error. Really good recovery drive from Lacey. I'm sure he's going to be upset not being able to race for the race win unless McGill makes a pretty big mistake, but still, really good job from him to kind of drive back through the field. In the end of the day, he's already moved on to the next round, so it doesn't matter too much.
And there you saw it. No contact was made, but Lacey put his car in a position that would force Dees to run wide unless they wanted to go into each other door to door, and that's what's going to send Dees pretty far down the racetrack now. So Lacey clear for third, and he'll continue to drive away with this one here as we'll continue through our race proceedings. Tell you what, it's not often we have the viewership of our races almost double that of the actual competitors on the racetrack. Do want to thank everybody for coming on out to join us on what's been, I would say, a surprisingly actionable race for the Circuit of the Americas, given the fact that you've only got 12 cars in the running right now.
Yeah, we've actually had, a good bit of passing all throughout the field. It just feels like we have a battle just about everywhere. Kind of unfortunate that, Sean Brick had that mistake. I mean, it might end up working out. He might be able to run down Austin McGill and just get a good fight for the lead. He is running him down right now. McGill's just making a couple of little mistakes, but man, we had a good battle for the lead there not too long ago. I think Britt just made a mistake too going into turn 11, but I don't know. I feel like we could get this front gap to close up. I mean, it is closing up lap after lap.
Gap's continuing to close. There's still a long ways to go. We're going to take a step back. You're watching the High Tide Racing League MF Racing Designs Cup Series on Green Flag TV.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to the High Tide Racing League MF Racing Designs Cup Series on Green Flag TV. You're watching the battle for 9th between David Leakey and Jason Greenwell. If you're just joining us, welcome to the show. My name is Ola Rebel alongside Austin Edstrom, and together we are bringing you all of the coverage, flag to flag, here tonight. Fight for third start to pick up as well. Lacey and Dees looking to get close. Kevin Foster, meanwhile, will become the first driver to bail of the pit road for Green Flag stops.
Yeah, I thought Lacey would pull away from Brian Dees as soon as he got by, but Dees has been hounding him here. Actually been able to pull back up to the back bumper of the 7 car here for 3rd place. I mean, this is big, right? This is a podium position right here for Brian Dees. He gave it up not too long ago, but trying to get it back here from Lacey, who doesn't really look unbeatable right now. He had that early mistake, and now Dees is able to run him down a little bit after, you know, getting past or run down and pass with somebody that spun on the first lap can be a little demoralizing, but Brian Dees has kind of wrapped it back around, and he's kind of taking the fight back to Benjamin Lacey right here, going down to turn 12.
Problems for David Leakey up at turn 1. He lost the spot to Jason Greenwell. I'm willing to bet he's just locked it up and went way in hot into turn 1. And yes, he did. That is in way deep into turn number 1 there, as Kevin Foster will do the same, although he was just exiting pit road, so I'm pretty sure he was just letting through Paul Wilson. But again, we're seeing the drivers now that have had their tires smoked a bit in this race starting to make their run into the pits, and I think, hey, about halfway, it's as good a time as any to do it. You're not really giving anything up by staying out a bit longer. It allows you more time as well to get those tires up to temp. Austin McGill will be pitting this time by, and I'm willing to put money down here that McGill is not going to take tires, neither will Sean Britt.
Yeah, and they're both down, so we're going to see them both come out of pit road, covering each other off. But yeah, I think you're right. If they take tires, I think that's going to end up being a huge mistake as Austin McGill comes down to pit lane right now. Going to see if that right side goes up whenever he comes down. He's stopped for a while. That right side's not. Oh my goodness, he's taking tires. Austin McGill's taking tires. Sean Britt now coming into pit road in that number 1 pit stall. Does he take tires, or is he going fuel only?
Tires as well for Sean Britt, so it looks like tires may very well be the call, and it's a set of 4 for Austin McGill, a set of 4 for Sean Britt. Benjamin Lacey stays out for one more, and he'll be looking to, he's out of fuel. Oh, no.
Looping it. Austin McGill just about looped it out of turn 1. He's able to get it going. Did you say Benjamin Lacey's out of fuel?
He is. He tried to go one lap longer, and he just cost himself. He is coasting. He's not going to make it around. There's no way. He's trying to cut the course.
No, there's no chance.
You can't coast around by 5 kilometers. It's not going to happen.
No. Even if he had some cut throughs, there was no chance. No chance. I mean, I respect him trying to get as far as he can, but I think this is going to be a futile effort.
Why would he not come in with the others? I mean, you know. Oh, you know what? I wonder if he overshot pit road, because it's a difficult pit road to get down. Maybe he overshot it, and that's what's costing him here. Is he is slowing. He's definitely putting the clutch in now, so he can try to get some momentum rolling down the hill here. I guess maybe he thinks he can use these downhill sections, but he's going to scrub all that speed off in the hairpin here.
I can't believe he's gone this far, to be honest. I figured he'd be dead in the water at the top of the hill.
We go in car, and that motor's still running a little bit, as there is one battle ducking by, and that I think is Ricky Hart Jr. just ducking down the inside of Thorpe as they're going to work their way to the backstretch. Hart gets through, Lacey pulls off to the right, and Tony Hilbrands is with them. Oh, I thought he was actually going to go and push him for a hot minute, but it looks like Hilbrands himself just ran a bit wide, and that would have been a tease for Lacey there, as I think he'll be forced to post up here with one of the marshals at this point. Look at that. He's right next to one of the footpaths, too. That's about as convenient as it can get.
I just can't believe he ran out of gas. I just cannot believe it. I don't know. I feel like that's something you got to keep an eye on, man, at a road course.
Well, the spotter tells you. They tell you when you only have a lap of fuel left.
Yeah, you got to know that. You got to know that you're close. I think Thorpe Jr.'s out, too. Thorpe Jr.'s out.
Is he really? He is.
What in the world?
If I had a nickel for every time I've seen a car run out of fuel in the High Tide Racing League race at Circuit of the Americas, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's strange it's happened twice. Now, my question, what does this do for McGill? Because remember, they pitted coming to lap 16. He's going to be on fumes based off of that when he sputters across the line.
Yeah, everybody's going to be really, really close. If they were just able to make it right past halfway, it's going to be close. You know, that opening lap had the pace lap attached to it. I imagine some of these guys were saving, but it's going to be close for a lot of these guys to make it on gas. They might have to save a little bit at the end, but I feel like they'll end up being all right. But for Thorpe, this is a bigger deal than it was for Lacey.
I'm amazed.
Lacey won last week. He's in the next round of the playoffs. Thorpe Jr. was able to get a good top 3 finish, but a night like tonight, finishing all the way in the back, that's going to be tough for him in the playoffs. He's going to drop back to about the 8th or 9th, maybe 10th place spot, and if he has another bad race next week, he could be out.
Well, it's right on board with Benjamin Lacey here in his run to try to get to pit road, and oh yeah, he missed it. He did try to pit with the others, and he completely missed the mark. So he did know how much fuel he had left. That's why he was trying to come in. Now, where does he run out here? Let's see. Listen in. Right there, crossing the line. He ran out of fuel as he was trying to enter pit road.
Yeah, big mistake there trying to get into pit road from Lacey. That's unfortunate, but I mean, it is what it is, right? Fighting for that P3 spot, trying to recover from his earlier mistake. Did a good job, but just one mistake can take you out of it.
Wow.
Speaking of mistakes, Austin McGill going into, what was it, turn 12 last time by?
Yeah.
Overshot the heck out of it and allowed Brian Britt to close in another 1.5 seconds. Brian Britt started this lap at 6.5 seconds behind. Now he's only 5 behind McGill. McGill is just, he's got too many mistakes kind of going under the visor right there right now. I mean, he's just kind of making just too many, I don't know, man. Just too many mistakes. You can't be doing that from the race lead. That's a lot of time to give up to somebody who's been running you down a little bit. You can give up a little bit here and there. You can give up 0.2 here. You can give up 1.5 tenths there. You can't give up 1.5 seconds in one corner. So that's going to, I really think it's going to come back to bite McGill here later.
I'm still in shock about the fuel and the missing
Dude.
of pit entry. I wonder if Thorpe did the same.
He very well could have. He ran out way later in the lap, though. So
You're not wrong. He may have been.
I feel like his was more
let's
maybe
see.
fuel calculation error.
He's running hard right there. We'll back this up a bit more. This is as far back as we got him. He never even attempted to make it pit road, so he genuinely did just think he could make it around another lap.
Yeah, that's a weird one. I don't know. You would think that you would have a good eye on it. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's the same mistake at the end of the day. You just got there a different way than Lacey did. But again, it's going to be a bigger consequence for Thorpe Jr. That's a way bigger issue for the driver of the 34, just because he is, not locked into the next round of the playoffs. Benjamin Lacey is. Thorpe kind of needed all these points, but I don't know. He might be able to tow and get one of those laps back on Lacey if Lacey doesn't jump back in the server, but that would be about it there for Thorpe Jr.
Well, Lacey is very much back on the racetrack, and he took that tow right back to pit road, and it took him about half a lap to get towed back, and Thorpe is back on the racetrack as well. Now, at this point, they have no hope on going for the win. They are out here at the moment hoping that they'll have some more drivers drop off as the race goes along, and that'll give them the ability to make up some more time.
I don't think it'll happen. Even if somebody wrecks, I don't feel like it's going to be a big enough hit to like damage the car or knock somebody out of this race. I just really don't see something like that happening. I feel like
it depends on where and how.
I mean, you're
I've
not
seen
wrong.
cars flip into catch fencing here.
You're definitely not wrong, but just this late into the run, I feel like most everybody's kind of settled into their positions. There might be a couple more battles here. Definitely could get a battle for the lead, but I just feel like if there's a hit, it's not going to be that massive.
Oh, what, just over 10 laps to go, so we don't open up the rumor train all that often, but while we're under the commercial break, as I say that, Paul Wilson, I think he did, sure did, looped it into turn 1.
Oh,
right there, he towed! That's exactly why Lacey and Thorpe are still on the racetrack, is because of that.
Unbelievable, Paul. I can't believe this. He could have kept it going, man. He could have kept it going.
I didn't think he hit the wall at all.
No, he didn't.
I guess he was.
He just looped her around. Just in there sideways, rear end coming around, right rear.
Lock the rears.
Goodbye.
Good job on slowing that down. But anyways, A little birdie told me under the commercial break we had there, Jonathan Canfield, if you remember him, he ran several of the races early on in the season, then of course had to dip out due to family reasons. He is going to be making a return to HTRL competition here over the next couple weeks or so. That will be once his daughter is going to be born. That's expected to take place next week, so early congratulations from us to him. But it'd be good to see Canfield back, and we could get one more car onto the grid.
Maybe he can get his new little baby a rig, and we can get 2 new cars on the track.
Well, I think it's a bit early. It's a bit early.
No, teach him young, and that's going to be the next prodigy.
Look,
for sure.
I know Lewis Hamilton started go-karting when he was, what, 4?
Exactly, so you start at 4 hours.
4 weeks is...
No, 4 hours. It's out of the womb, you cut the umbilical cord, and you stick it on a simulator.
That's not... I don't think motor skills exist at that point yet.
That's why you teach it to them. They got to start early so they can learn them.
What has this discussion turned into? I'm trying to think of a response to some way for this.
Unhinged.
This is what happens when you have 12 cars that are separated by about 3 seconds minimum from one another at a road course.
Yeah, we're talking about cutting babies' umbilical cords and sticking them on a simulator.
No.
Just like we should be talking about.
No.
Yes.
No, that's not what I talk about on average.
Get them out of the ICU and put them on the fucking
It sounds like your
computer.
family gatherings would be quite interesting.
Sorry. Well, they are. I might be a little unhinged
Ooh.
sometimes. You know, we go. I'm sorry. Made a little mistake there.
No, I was saying Sean Britt kicking the back end out, entering the S's there. So that cost him a bit of time up to Austin McGill. The gap still sitting at, 5.4 seconds. The smallest gap is between Jason Greenwell and David Leakey. That's about 3.6. And this is one of those gaps that's fluctuating by a few tenths as time moves along. But it's not closing in at all, because this is just drivers getting closer or further apart depending on where their strengths are at a facility like this.
Yeah, Britt's huge mistake this lap has cost him. When did this happen? He was 5.4 back not too long ago. Now he's 9.0 back. So Sean Britt has completely ruined any chance that he had. I feel like, unless McGill makes a huge mistake. I don't know where this happened for Britt.
Well,
he got a little squirrely out of 1, but nothing bad.
It was all fine here. That's just a little run off the racetrack, and this was working through the S's. Oh, right there. He took too much and had to slow down. That's a slowdown penalty.
I was wondering, I didn't see any major mistakes whenever I was going through, but that's a big one right there. Cutting the track a little bit too much. It's literally doubled the gap. I mean, it was at 5.4. It's up to 10. I mean, it has completely taken this fight away from Sean Britt. He had a fighting chance to get up to Austin McGill. He's running a little bit quicker than him for a good chunk of this race. Just little mental error. You know, we're getting 2/3 of the way through this race. These guys have been driving nonstop for about an hour, so they're getting a little tired, getting a little worn out. I just feel like maybe that was a mental error from Sean Britt there.
So we've talked about before, and we discussed this last week at Gateway as well, about how technical this first round of eliminations are, right? I mean, the Worldwide Technology Raceway, a difficult track to pass out of itself. Circuit of the Americas is, well, it's Circuit of the Americas. Well, next week's Darlington, the track too tough to tame. That is going to be a heck of a way to end off the round of 16. Then, of course, the round of 12. Homestead, Iowa, Talladega. 3 very unique tracks from one another. You've got 1.5 mile, short track, super speedway for the elimination round. I genuinely think the round of 12 will be the most chaotic of our elimination rounds that we'll have all season long.
Oh, for sure. I can't wait for it. I think we're going to have a good showing, especially the super speedway. Anytime you get a super speedway in the playoffs, it's absolutely insane. And everybody just goes balls to the wall, so I can't wait to see it. Paul Wilson. Oh, he's come back out on the racetrack. Paul Wilson. He's come back out on the racetrack, graced us with his presence going down into turn 12. Probably just going to get a little hot on the brakes like he did into turn 1.
Oh,
those rear tires lock up going in. Well, He had to lock up. Oh my goodness. I mean, he went so far wide going down to turn 12. Good job keeping out of the wall, but racetrack's down here, buddy.
It's a good job on keeping that car out of the barriers. With that kind of speed,
sure.
it almost looked like a dragster with its parachute not deploying at all.
Oh, Sean Britt just about lost it again. Oh my goodness, Sean. Turn 15, just about dim in. I mean, I feel like he's already probably kicking himself, but you don't want to lose out anymore. Another loop it around, and I don't know. I feel like you wear out those tires a little bit, man, after you do it a couple times. If he would have done it again, I would be a little bit worried for him going forward for the rest of the race. He still probably wouldn't lose a position to Brian Dees. He's got too big of a gap on him, but I feel like that would just put him in range to where he'd probably do it again. He's really pushing that thing a little too hard right now.
Sorry, I've been focusing so much on a particular stat that I have on the SDK timing screens here. There's a number that can tell me how many times a driver has gone off track, and you've probably noticed the little diagonal hash like tags there, right next between the number and the driver's name on the timing tower. Right, you'll suddenly see them blip red. That means a driver has just run off the track somewhere. Now 9 times out of 10 in a place like this, it's just them extending the corner, right? They're running a little bit wide. They'll be getting off track wanting. They'll be fine. It's nothing to worry about. But it's something watching the numbers here, and I'm going to pull these up for us here. Do you want to take a gambit on who's gone off track the most?
Sean Britt.
By a huge margin.
Holy!
92 to 68. That is 92 times Sean Britt has gone off the racetrack. I'm going to do some math here. Now remember, you see right there we extended turn 11? That counts as an off-track. So we're taking some pretty big liberties with what constitutes of an off-track here. But just for entertainment's sake, let's do some math here, right? So that's what now 93. He has gone off on average 4 times every single lap.
So are they not? I'm guessing they went the NASCAR route and they're not penalizing.
I'm assuming so.
They're not DQing for X's here.
That's my assumption, but it's also worth noting what SDK constitutes as an off-track and what iRacing considers as an off-track, they are 2 different things. So that right there, that's 94. Or, well, okay, you went off a 94th time at some point. That was number 95. Now, that is considered an off-track in iRacing's book, but sometimes the threshold on SDK is actually harsher than what iRacing states. So, ooh, that might be a slowdown, in fact, if it doesn't slow that down enough. But, so not all of these, I think, are actual incident points that he's getting in the sim, because that would be an absurd amount.
He's still got to have a good chunk, though.
Oh, absolutely.
There's no way it's that different.
Oh, absolutely. I'm willing to bet the difference is about maybe a dozen or 2.
That's unbelievable. Holy cow, 95.
I'm surprised that Brian Dees, the driver running third, has only had 11. That's almost impressive in comparison.
I wish spectators could see the incidents so I could see the actual iRacing numbers. But
oh, that's right, you can see. Well, you should have them make you a session app, because the session administrators can see that number. Fun fact.
Oh, yeah, they need to make it for me. I want to hand down the penalties. Give me the ban hammer. I will penalize from the announcer's booth. I'm giving Austin McGill a 10-second slowdown to spice up the race.
That's very convenient. Are you telling me you're playing favorites here?
No, he cut the track. He cut the track.
I'm pretty sure everybody's cut the track at this point.
No, he cut the track bad. He cut the track.
We're being very selective here with our penalties.
Yeah, it just whenever I need the racing spiced up, you don't mess with my show. Bringing the old school NASCAR feel to it.
Well, if we're going that route, we may as well just penalize the whole field by a lap or 2, and then we can get Wilson and others into the fray as well.
Ah, true. I see debris on the racetrack. We should just throw the competition caution right here.
We don't
debris
have
yellow.
competition caution.
Debris yellow.
I'm pretty sure.
Fake debris.
So, a little fun fact here. At a track this big, it's not uncommon for, if a debris is close enough to a march station, for a marshal to duck out, with permission for race control, obviously, retrieve the debris, and duck back, particularly on lap 1. And sometimes...
They just don't do that in NASCAR, though.
What?
They don't do that in NASCAR, though.
Do they not?
No.
To be
They
fair,
will throw
I
a
don't
full
watch.
course yellow.
I watch NASCAR race a shockingly little amount. So I mean, it took me so long to figure out. And I still don't know why they consider a blue flag to be a local yellow flag in NASCAR road course races. That still baffles me to this day. That is a thing, by the way.
I don't even know if I've ever heard of that.
If you look
That's a
closely,
weird one.
you'll see a car goes off. Sean Bray, by the way, just broke 100 off tracks, according to SDK here. But but you'll watch a NASCAR race, and you'll see the marshals, if a car is ever off, they're waving a blue flag and not a yellow flag. Because the full yellow flag, that's for a safety car period. That's when the pace car pulls out. But they have double yellow flags for that.
It's because they don't give the blue flags out to lap cars. There's no such
But
thing.
they do. Race control
Yeah, but it's
does.
a different.
The
It's
starter
a different
does.
move over flag.
It's not though. I've seen the blue
I
flag
swear
with the
it's
yellow
not
stripe
just blue.
through it being used as
Oh, okay.
a local yellow
Yeah.
flag. Like, I don't get it. Like it's so confusing to me. I don't understand. Like it's one extra rule. Like just have it be one yellow, double yellow. I mean, I know we only turn left, but we can still count, right? We should be able to tell the difference.
I mean, it's like the Roval, or even the bus stop at the Glen. You know, if you overshoot the bus stop chicane or the chicane on the front straightaway at the Charlotte Roval, you have to stop right there and then go. It's like, what kind of rule is this? Why is it different than every other? I don't know. It's just, or it's not that part that's bad about it. It's that like you can get shoved through it, and you still have to stop. Like if I'm behind somebody going into the final chicane, and I'm second place, you can just shove them through it. They get a penalty, and you get the race win. Like, how is that fair?
Thank you for joining the Green Flag TV podcast. By the way, we'll make sure to make this a regular thing.
It's not fair.
Sundays, we'll say. We don't have anything up on Sundays. If you're looking to get your league broadcast, our Sundays are open. You can check out our pricing and more on www.greenflagtv.com.
What a plug.
These are discussions that happen when you get a race that it tapers off a bit, right? But hey, we're paid to talk, so we talk, and sometimes we go off on these little tangents, and I know we don't mind for sure. We're still keeping you updated, of course, on anything that's gone down, but so far we have not seen any actual on-track overtakes since lap 17 was the last one. So it's so this race it's definitely calmed down, and you can tell, right? You got a lot of the gas started to form. The biggest one now the smallest one is 6 seconds between Kevin Foster and Jason Greenwell. Sits at about 6 seconds right now. Austin McGill still holds the lead by just over 10 seconds. We do have a lot that's still coming up in the way of Green Flag TV. Obviously, our 1-year anniversary for this channel is coming up this month, and so we've had that 24/7 stream running for the last 3 days here, and that'll continue to run for the next, I'm thinking, 2 weeks or so before we close things down. Showcase some of the best action we've seen on the channel in this first year of business, and I've been shocked at how busy we've been over the course of the season. I was expecting, 2, 3? We have had, at some points, 9 shows a week. And that was right at September.
I
and
can't
Austin,
believe you're shocked.
You were on like 5. You were on like 4 of them.
I'm surprised you're shocked, because I remember talking to you earlier this year whenever we were doing, it was probably after a high tide race. I was like, dude, you have like 8 or 9 of these a week. You're doing this every night of the week. I just can't believe it, man. You keep yourself busy.
No kidding. Hey, I work at an NHRA drag strip during the April to October month, so it's a good way to keep me busy throughout the winter, right?
Yeah, so now we need to fill up the schedule. We need 4 races a day starting at 8 a.m. in the morning.
No.
First race needs to be about 6 hours long.
No. Hey, VSA's got us covered with that. Don't you worry.
And I need you in the contract to omit Austin Edstrom from commentating the 8 a.m. race.
You're going to be a big help at the Daytona 24. I'll tell you that much. That's one thing that it's been a bit quiet as of right now, but the Virtual Sports Car Association, or VSCA, has recently signed a few races with the Green Flag TV. So we're covering The World Before the 24, the Daytona 24. Austin will be covering the last 3 hours.
Yeah.
I'm covering the first. And then we'll have the Long Beach race, the Laguna Seca race, the Road America race. They're running the 100% IMSA schedule throughout the course of the 2024 season. So that'll be interesting. It's the first proper endurance series we've ever had. So we continue to expand more and more. I'm still hoping we can get a dirt series at some point, a dirt or a short track series, like one of those.
You've been asking
two.
for it for so long.
I know it's been a struggle, and I'm hoping we'll
Come on,
get
dirt
one
people.
soon.
Come on, dirt people, if you're listening.
It'd be
We
incredible.
want a dirt league. Sprint
get
cars,
something.
late models, doesn't matter. Give us some dirt.
Later on in the week, though, we've got the Beer League with their season finale. That's going to be from the Willow Springs Raceway. They'll be closing things out. It was a tight championship entering the Tsukuba round last week. Only 7 points between Tyler Augustino and the runner-up in the points. So we'll see how that's all going to pan out this Wednesday. LTAC Ultra Media Cup Series returns on Friday for the Kansas Speedway. The TNGG IEL Super Speedway Blitz. What a season opener at Daytona. A bit of a caution string towards the middle of the race, but a finish for the ages. 9 thousandths of a second was the margin of victory in a 3-wide photo finish, beating and banging to the wire. Absolutely spectacular stuff. And they are returning round 2 at Auto Club on Saturday night. So there's always a lot of action every single week. So yeah, be sure to stick around, check things out, and we'll be here every week, same time. Oh, contact between Lacey and Connor Gibson. And this is for position. This is the battle for ninth as that got physical coming down into turn 11.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from. I mean, Lacey all of a sudden diving to the inside of Gibson here. They're still just about making contact there down the back straightaway. Gibson had gone way wide on the exit of the S's, but Lacey back to the inside, going down to turn 12. Oh, Gibson overshoots it heavily, almost into the back of Paul Wilson there, who's another lap down. Gibson way wide, way off the racetrack. Gonna absolutely give that one to Benjamin Lacey.
I have a feeling Paul Wilson ran wide there in a bid to avoid getting run over from behind. That's my main assumption there on that one. But take another look at this one. Lacey gets a good drive, sends it into turn 11. And I think Gibson turned in a bit earlier than Lacey expected, and that's what we saw come to blows there.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's why that contact happened. It kind of looked like maybe Lacey was fading inward, but then kind of stopped, and Gibson just kind of followed him into the apex of the racetrack, maybe a little bit too early, and then Gibson just way late on the brakes. Luckily, Wilson had turned in just before Gibson got to the rear end, but still tough. Gibson loses out on the position of Benjamin Lacey. Lacey up to P9. Trying to wound up to, or get himself up to Leakey, but I think Leakey's probably just a little bit too far ahead.
Dr. Kilbro making a report that apparently there will be some changes with road courses next season. Interesting. I can't wait to see what kind of changes we're going to be looking at. They have been making discussions already about the second season. There's been a bit that's been discussed. Obviously, I'm not going to mention any of that here because none of it's been made official yet, and it wouldn't be proper of me to speak about a closed-door meeting like that. But there have been talks underway, so I am very curious to see what decisions are going to be made on what their second season will be like, because I think what they've got for their first ever season of competition, remember, right? This is not an established league. This is their first ever season. It has been a phenomenal one. I mean, I can think of very few ways this could have gone any better for them.
Yeah, just think back to races like Auto Club, like Las Vegas. I mean, just unbelievably action-packed races start to finish. Atlanta was a good one too. I mean, the pit road speeding penalties at Atlanta and Dover. Just, I don't know, this season's had a lot of storylines. It's been fun to watch. Oh yeah, you like the speeding penalties. I mean, goodness gracious, I'm surprised we didn't see any tonight. Can we count the Benjamin Lacey one tonight as a speeding penalty? Because, I mean, he got to pit road too hot, so he ran out of gas.
I don't think we can because he never actually made it into pit road in the first place. I think
that's no fun.
I think he escapes on a technicality on that one. We'll let that one slide.
That's tough. Then I don't think we had any speeding penalties tonight. That's kind of rare. It's probably because you got to get down to pace speed before you even get around that corner, though, and then pace speed's after it. So I guess it makes a little bit more sense here than instead of slowing it down from 180 miles an hour on a mile and a half. But hey, credit to everybody. No pit road speeding penalties on a whole night. I like it.
Battles on for 6th. Kevin Foster, Jason Greenwell looking like they're about to start duking it out for the first spot outside of the top 5. Foster in too deep into turn 11 with 2.5 laps left to go now. Greenwell's got the better run and is looking like that 83 car will be able to take that spot away from Kevin Foster as we charge it down the backstretch towards turn 12.
Yeah, Leakey's not too far behind either. You can't count him out of this battle for the 6th place position right here. Greenwell going down to turn 12. Foster hot on his heels. Oh, Greenwell little loose coming out of the corner, but Kevin Foster went way wide. Actually going to give the opportunity to Leakey to take that position away through the outside of turn 13. And then going down to 14, Foster's going to have to give it up. Leakey, now can he run down Greenwell here in the last couple laps?
Pressure's on for that number 9 car as they'll continue to send their way up and around. And in fact, they're actually making their way to 3 laps to go. My apologies. I thought they were a bit further along than they were. But Austin McGill getting set to make the run here for 2 laps remaining here tonight as the driver of the Amsoil Mustang has been unopposed. And again, he has not finished outside of the podium in any road course race that he has not wrecked out of. If he doesn't wreck out of the race, he's been on the podium. His last road course win would have been around the last race of the NAOR series during a doubleheader down at the Suzuka circuit, of all places. And that was on a 12th season, so a very long-standing league there that Kevin Foster currently involved in with as well. Oh boy! Greenwell locking it up into turn 1, nearly gives the spot to Leakey.
Yeah, Greenwell able to hold on to it, though, still in P6, but Leakey not too far back, less than a second behind the 83. Greenwell now going through the S's. Important to stay tight here, but they still got 3 laps to go. I know it says 2 on the top, but that's how far behind the race leader they are here for P6. But Leakey trying to take that position away from Greenwell, holding them tight here. Didn't lose too much ground through the S's in the dirty air. Able to hold really close to Greenwell. Really good section of the racetrack there for Leakey, able to hold it that close. And then he's going to get the huge draft down the exit of turn 11. And he had a really good run through the exit of the S's too, man. He's getting right up to the back bumper of the 83 before they even get down there.
Two laps to go. This next time by, at this point, this battle for 6 and 7 has about 2.5 laps left to go. Of course, remember, they are almost a full lap behind Austin McGill right now. They're 1 minute and 54 seconds behind. So this is definitely not a battle for the win, but it is still a battle for critical points entering the final race at Darlington, a track that can be so difficult to pass on. For all of these playoff drivers, I think this race has been excellent for these guys because it allows for them to be able to make grounds where they otherwise would not be able to in the points for some of these drivers that might be towards the back next week.
Well, and you look at Austin McGill, for instance. I mean, he's going to lock himself into the round of 12 with this win here tonight. And, you know, he hasn't been necessarily the quickest. He's been quick on some ovals where he may have had race-winning speed, but just had some mistakes. But at the road courses, he's probably consistently been the fastest guy at both the road courses we've been at. Was not able to lock up the deal at the last one, but was consistently the most consistently fast guy here tonight over Sean Britt, who just made a couple too many mistakes. And Austin McGill, like I said, he's going to punch his ticket to the round of 12 whenever he has not necessarily been a championship favorite.
This battle for 6th place continues as this pairing will work back to the front straightaway. 2 laps to go. This time by for Greenwell and Leakey. Austin McGill, meanwhile, will be working his way around. He'll be starting the final lap here in very short order. That 83 car's got a lot of work ahead of him. He's been taking shallow red trees. Oh, he's locked up again. Here comes Leakey to the inside of the number 9 car. Picks up number 6 through turn 1.
And that's as easy as you can take him for Leakey there, getting past Greenwell, going up into turn 1. The guy just overshoots his braking zone and says, here, buddy, wave him on through. Just stick your hand out the window and let him go right on by. Leakey up to P6. Greenwell got to be kicking himself. He's still got a lap and a half to figure it out, maybe get back up there, but I don't know. I'd be a little frustrated if I was the driver of the 83.
David Leakey already starting to pull well clear of this group, of the car behind him at least, as Leakey will continue to work his way around. But remember, still just over a lap and a half to go. It's never over until it's over, as Jason Greenwell will start to dive deep on the binders, and will work into turn 11 as Austin McGill has started the final trip around. About 15-20 seconds behind this pairing.
Yeah, McGill's going to finish the race, and then we're going to get to watch a battle for a minute and a half. So that's pretty nice, as we've still got Leakey leading Greenwell. Can Greenwell get back up to him, though? He's kind of falling off the back end of that number 9 car. It's going to take a mistake from Leakey into one of these heavy braking zones to kind of give Greenwell that chance. I mean, that's a big mistake.
Boy.
Through the middle of the corner, just about comes back across the track and tags Greenwell. Now side by side to turn 13. Greenwell's going to give it to him, but he's going to cut him back into 14. Tries to look to the inside, not quite able to get there. Leakey's still in the position, but he gave up a lot of ground there to the 83.
Gave up a lot of ground, and we could see this come to blows yet before this race comes to its conclusion. Meanwhile, here is Austin McGill, a driver that has been in complete control of this race ever since Sean Britt threw that about 5-second gap back to the 99 car away. Brian Dees, of course, has lost spots in his own right, but McGill will work through the final series of corners for the driver of the number 99. He was set to win at Indianapolis, wasn't able to get it done there because he spun himself out. He'll be able to take it home in clean fashion here tonight as the 99 Amsoil Mustang into turn 20 and out of the final corner. Austin McGill, your race winner in Austin, Texas.
I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so at the beginning of the broadcast. I thought McGill was going to be the guy to beat. Oh, it's come to blows between Greenwell and Leakey. Greenwell sideways on the exit of turn number 1. Had to get the ship righted to get back around, and Leakey looked like he took some, maybe not damage, but it looked like he got slowed down from it too, as we see Gibson go deep into turn number 11, battling Thorpe Jr. here. And now Leakey had actually gotten passed again by Greenwell. I guess he had made a mistake towards the back half of the lap. Greenwell going up the racetrack, or is this even beforehand? I mean, this is, wow.
Greenwell locked up, and Leakey was in the process of locking up. Greenwell had gathered it up, and Leakey, trying to lock it down, was still making the apex, just drove into the side of him. That's just victim of circumstance.
I wonder how Leakey gave the position back up anyway. He must have made a big mistake in the last couple of corners.
Probably.
On the penultimate lap. Now just really tidy around turn 11. Not trying to kick it too wide, not trying to make any big mistake, but he's kind of giving Greenwell the opportunity. Greenwell's firmly in the draft here. This is a battle for P6 right here on the last lap. Greenwell down the long back straightaway, looking for a chance to get to the inside of Leakey. Does he get heavy down on the brakes? He's looking to the inside of the number 9. The 9 goes a little bit deeper. Able to wrap it around the apex of that corner, but goes just a tiny bit wide. Able to keep it on the racetrack. Able to keep the position.
Sending it into turn number 13. Leakey still trying to hang on, but Greenwell very much in the fray with the potential to go for that win, for that spot still for the number 6. But I think Leakey will be able to hang on as they'll work out of turn 15 into 16. It would have to come in the last few corners, so Leakey would have to really swing out wide for this to come to blows in the slightest. Greenwell, he's tracked right to the back bumper, though, so this fight still isn't over. We'll dive it into the final couple of corners. Will Greenwell go for the Hail Mary into turn 20? He sure will. Tries to open that door to the inside. Leakey goes in too deep, but Greenwell can't capitalize. He will capitalize. Leakey lets him have it as Jason Greenwell sweeps through into 6th.
Well, that was weird. But Kevin Foster, the last one to finish it up, P8. In the 8 car, that big red machine, has a victory on the season, comes through, finishes it off, finishing in the 8th spot.
And with
there's an issue in the standings.
Uh-oh, is there now? We'll take a look at the results.
Yeah, McGill got disqualified after the race.
No. Okay, wow, we will try to find out more about that when we can, but Sean Britt with an unofficial race win, we'll say for now. Brian Dees 39.5 seconds behind in 2nd, Rickard Jr. 3rd, Hilbrand's 4th, Greenwell 5th, Leakey 6th, Foster 7th, Austin McGill 1 lap down, potentially disqualified in 8th. We'll confirm that in a few moments here. Lacey 9th, Thorpe 10th, Connor Gibson 11th, Paul Wilson in 12th. Dalton Kill start and park this one in 13th, and then Zachary Wareham did not start this race.
I think I'm going to go do some investigative journalism.
You do some investigative journalism. I will talk to our unofficial race winner at the end of the night. Hop into General 2 up there, by the way, Austin, as we'll see if we can't get something sorted here. I am at a loss for words. We'll see if we can't get in touch with Sean Britt in the meantime, the driver that will come home as unofficially a race winner for now. We're still not sure what has gone on there in the final lap there. But anyhow, Sean, you join us up here in the broadcast booth and kind of walk us through this race as a whole, because it got a bit wild in that first half there for you.
Yeah. So it's just hard racing of what happened. Just trying to do everything that I could just to go and pass Austin. Just came up short and did a couple mistakes and didn't work out. So I don't know if Austin is a winner from what I heard you say, or if I am. I don't know what's going on, but we'll figure out what's up. But I mean, if I did win, nice. If I didn't, then we'll just keep getting ready for Darlington. Hopefully we can build up a points deficit of what happened at Watkins Glen and make it to the round of 12.
Obviously, with the race now done and dusted, focus is all going to be on Darlington for that one final race, especially if the standings are reverted back to as they were before. So we'll still work on figuring all of that out. But anyways, again, looking forward to Darlington, South Carolina, the last race in the round of 16, and definitely a pressure-filled one. What's going to be the game plan for the Apex Simerson Camaro when we swing back out to Darlington?
Just gonna go and just gonna try our best and I don't know. I'm just easy, just be easy and not do anything reckless.
Right, so we'll let you get back down to celebrating, and we'll talk to you, I guess, hopefully then again if you finish on the podium down at the track 2 Tough to Tame.
Yep.
I'm Sean Britt joining us up here in the broadcast booth, and before we move things along, Austin, I understand you've been doing some journalism of your own, and well, it's been made official as well in the in the race control side of things. Austin McGill is going to be classified as the race winner, so they will be reverted back to the way it was. Sean Britt will be your second-place finisher. Do you have insights on what the heck happened?
Yeah, from what I can tell, he just ran out of gas doing burnouts, and I think he drifted down the hill, and it might have disqualified him for going backwards because the race was not over yet.
I see.
So I think that is what happened, but he had finished the race. He had the lead. It just took a minute and 50 seconds for the last guy on the lead lap to come across the finish line. So it just kind of disqualified him. But they're going to give the race win to him. Probably the right thing to do. I don't think that's any reason to strip a guy's win away.
Well, in this instance, usually you're obviously the one that takes the runner-up. Since I ended up taking the de facto runner-up, we'll pass things on to you for the race winner, for a driver that just couldn't help but make it interesting even after the checkered flag.
Austin, I was big on you in the pre-race. You were my pick to win it. I'm glad you came through and did it. How's it feel to punch your ticket to the round of 12 here tonight?
It feels good after missing the first race of the playoffs, so I can focus on next week and next races to come, and hopefully keep momentum going into the next races of the playoffs and can keep the good form going.
I've kind of known you to be a pretty quick guy on the road courses. Did you come into tonight thinking this was kind of your opportunity? I mean, we saw you be super fast at Indy road course, just kind of took yourself out of contention early, but then was still quick. Did you think that this was kind of the race that you needed circled on your calendar that you could come out here and win?
Yeah, for sure. This was probably the race I was looking forward to the most. Obviously, it's a difficult track, and even I struggled a lot. But yeah, I knew I had a it's probably my best chance at winning after I kind of threw away a win at Indy earlier in the season. But like you said, definitely had this one circled, so I'm just proud I can bring it home.
Well, congrats, Austin. You put on a good show for us here tonight. Running away with that one. Good 10-second lead to cap that one off. Get an easy stomping of the field at the end of the day. I mean, not just beating the field, but beating them by that big of a gap. What does that kind of do for your confidence? Does it kind of wound you up for a deep playoff run?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Obviously, I mean, yeah, it was a road course. There's not as many guys as, we'd like to have, but uh, definitely a big boost in confidence going into the next rounds of the playoffs and all the other cool tracks we're gonna race at to close out the season. So, just looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season goes, and hopefully we can have a good fight with all the rest of the guys.
Well, congrats on the win tonight, and we're looking forward to seeing you next week at Darlington.
Thank you.
All righty, that was your race winner, Austin McGill, first-time winner in the High Tide Racing League. Next up, Nolan, you're going to get our P3 finisher, right? We're going to get Brian Dees in here, maybe?
We will indeed be able to get Brian Dees up into the broadcast booth, the driver that will take a very quiet final step on the podium. Brian, overall, a solid night for your MF Racing Designs Camaro. Walk us through this race, and how about we start with that battle with Benjamin Lacey that ended up fizzling out around lap 16.
Yeah, it was a fun battle. Actually, after coming into this race, I hated the idea of running this track. I don't think NASCAR belongs here. Hate that they go here in real life. But actually, since I started practicing it, got into a bit of a rhythm, figuring out the track a little bit, I actually had a lot of fun tonight. So, but yeah, that battle with Ben, always like battling with Ben. He's a real clean, respectful driver. I try to treat him the same way. So, I mean, I don't really have any problems with anybody in this league. So, definitely a lot of fun battling it out on track.
It was a solid points haul for you at the end of the night. You entered this race 6th place in the standings. You'll be able to, no doubt, easily propel yourself into the top 5 at the end of this one. How's it looking then for the shot on going for the round of 12 come Darlington?
To be determined. I'm actually going to be on vacation the week we have it scheduled for Darlington, so might try to see if maybe I can at least do a start in park and hope that gets me enough, but we'll see what happens.
And, of course, if we don't see you around at the Darlington Raceway, assuming you are able to make your way into the round of 12, what's going to be the game plan for that 17 car pushing forward?
Keep it consistent. That's always my game plan. Even throughout the whole season, I was pretty much Operation Top 10 them to death, and it got me the regular season championship. So, I definitely think that one win helped out a bit, but we'll always take those when we can get them too. So, but yeah, always being consistent is my goal. Even tonight, basically just trying to keep it in between the white lines as much as possible. Kind of looking at some of the incidents. I don't know if everybody else felt the same way about that, but I guess that is what it is. So.
Well, you're able to walk away with the least amount of incident points in this race by a very sizable margin. So we'll call that mission accomplished then for that 17 car tonight. Congratulations on that 3rd place finish. If you don't see you at Darlington, well, we'll definitely see you hopefully in the round of 12 still in competition.
Yeah, hey, just keeping it on track here is definitely a challenge. So even though it doesn't pay out any points or any cash or anything, to be least amount of incidents at a track like this, I'll take it. I'm pretty proud of that. So.
That was Brian Dees joining us up here in the broadcast booth from 3rd place on the podium for the driver out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And, well, Austin, that brings us to a close of what was what ended up being a fairly entertaining race, all things considered. It died out around that second half, but we were still able to make good conversation. We were able to still have some great battles right at the end of the race, which is, I think, the best place to have them, right? Is right there at the end. We had some dramas with the race winner. That's been sorted now. So Austin McGill has had the race win reinstated, so he will have no problems anymore in getting things sorted there. But looking forward, right, Darlington's up next, and I think it's a great place to wrap out the round of 16 and see if we can really get the 12 most deserving drivers into the next round of competition.
Yeah, tonight had a little bit of everything. We had late race drama with the disqualification. We talked about the moral dilemma behind how early is too early to start, sim racing your child. And then we had some really good racing, especially in the first half of this. So really thrilled with how tonight went. Went pretty good. And again, Darlington in 2 weeks. God, I love that track. That's going to be such a good one.
Once again, coming on up on Green Flag TV, you'll have the Beer League from the Willow Springs Raceway to close out their season finale on Wednesday night. Friday, we'll see the LTAG All-Street Media Series swing to the Prairie States, where we'll see if we can not get swept up by some tornadoes down at the Kansas Speedway for round number 8. And then, of course, on Saturday, the TNGG IL Super Speedway Blitz returns with their Western swing to California, where we'll kick things off for round number 2 at the Auto Club Speedway. For now, though, in Austin, Texas, and the Circuit of the Americas, it is time to draw things to a close. My name has been Ola Rempel, alongside Austin Edstrom. If you're curious about getting your league broadcasted, check us out at www.greenflightv.com. Tuesdays and Sundays, currently fully available. We'd be more than happy to take you on into our ever-growing roster. Thank you for joining us here tonight for the High Tide Racing League MF Racing Designs Cup Series. We'll see you all next week when we go racing at the track too tough to tame.